With me is Melissa Odama Hart, attorney at law with the Seattle Car Accident Law Firm. And today we're getting to know people who are passionate about what they do and make a big difference every day. And Melissa, that's you today. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. It's good to be
Well,
here.
it's a pleasure to have you here. And you know, car accident is probably something that we're all going to end up in at some point or another. And ideally, it's minor and it's no big deal and it's just a blip. But we need people like you who can walk us through what we need to have happen. Right before we started talking here, I was asking you about some of the clients you helped. And I'm just curious, you know, you have some real interesting stories. Please share the one you were just telling me off air.
So I was just telling you briefly about a client we had who was in a car accident, who was pregnant, or actually she had just had a baby. And
Mhm.
so because of the car accident injuries, she had a really hard time caring for her baby after the accident. And so car accidents affect everyone in different ways. So it's really important to get to know your clients to really understand the trauma that they have suffered.
And so, what did you do next? So, it's obviously this is a real tough situation. And I know from chatting with you and from reading a piece that you wrote recently that there are a lot of pitfalls. What are some of the pitfalls that everybody deals with? And we can certainly talk about this woman.
So some of the pitfalls to look into is that insurance companies, as you know, are not your friends. They're more interested in their bottom dollar or the profit margin they could make. So with this particular person, they put us through the ringer. We had to into litigation and fight for her claim, even though it was not her fault. We wanted to make sure that they recognize the true nature of what these injuries did to her and how it affected her life.
Right. And you said that sometimes these insurance companies will get you to, sign off on something or say, hey, we'll give you $5,000 or $10,000 to be done with it. And that's, a lot of money to a lot of people and they may walk away, but it may turn out they have bigger injuries or other things that need to be dealt with. Is that
Mhm.
this is something that you have seen often over the years. Am I right?
That's absolutely right. It's very common for insurance companies to reach out to somebody right after an accident saying, "We will give you $500 right now if you just sign this form, and it'll take care of your
500.
pain." Yeah, it'll
Whoa.
take care of your pain and suffering. And then it could be a lot of money to people, and they'll just accept it, not knowing how injured they are or what their course of treatment will look like in the coming weeks, months, or whatever. So once you settle a claim, that's it. You can't go back.
Wow. And I'm a little curious about you too. So, what made you, I guess, growing up, did you always know you wanted to be a lawyer?
I don't know. I think in some ways I probably did because, my family background was that my father was born in an internment camp in Colorado because he was Japanese during World War II. And so that sense of injustice kind of permeated my life. And I've always wanted to help people or help the little guy make sure that they were taken care of.
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting to see, things that affected families, the seeds
Yeah.
that are planted that led to you standing up for all those other people.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
a huge motivator for me.
huge motivator. And so, okay, so you become a lawyer, and how did you kind of circle in on car accidents? I mean, I said in the beginning, it's something that we all deal with, or we all will at some point, I'm sure. Yeah, how'd you pick it?
So I kind of fell into this actually. I used to be a public defender before, and I helped criminal defendants. Um, but after some period of time, I got a job for a large insurance company as in-house counsel, and I kind of saw how the insurance companies worked and how you defend claims for that purpose. And with my background of wanting to really help people, I kind of transitioned over to the plaintiff side because I felt like I could do more good that way.
Wow. Well, that's exactly what you're up to and what we hear that you do with your clients. Just share with us. So did it end with that, what was the ending for that woman who had just given birth?
Well, we were able to really convey to the fact finder in her case after litigation, like how the injuries affected her life, how she had a very difficult time even picking up her newborn baby, bending down to change diapers, or like when the baby was a little bit older, sitting on the floor to play with the toddler. because her back pain and inhibited her every move, and
Wow.
how devastating that was for her as a first time parent, not to be able to parent the way that she envisioned.
Yeah. And I would imagine that everybody you deal with or help has a unique angle or piece to their situation. Is that the case?
That is the case. Everyone is completely unique and different.
And so how do you navigate that? Obviously there are the other side of it is you focus on this main area of your practice and you can see whether it's an auto accident or trucking or bicycle or whatever. And I think I saw on your website there are obviously other types of accidents, and you see some of the patterns that play out. What are the steps? So let's say somebody is in an accident, car accident. I was about a little over a year ago. And I have to say, I like to think I'm a calm guy, but I had my family and my kids in the car. We were out of state on a vacation, and it started snowing. And I was frazzled. I'm going to admit it. And everybody seemed okay, but it was kind of scary. So we had one kid was crying, and I didn't know if he was hurt. So what are here's what I didn't know, which are what are the steps? Obviously, we call the police so that they can come and figure out what's what between us and the other vehicle or vehicles. It was snowing. We kind of a few of us hit each other, and we were pushed off the road. But what are the steps that people should really take when they're in an accident, big or small?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm glad you called the police. I think calling the police is a very important step because, as you rightfully said, like after an accident, people are frazzled. They're dazed. They're like trying to figure out what happened, and you just kind of forget things. So by calling the police, it helps you gather important information so that you can make a claim later with your own insurance company as well as the other insurance company. So in addition to calling the police, it's also good to take photographs of the scene, photographs of the car damage to your vehicle and the other vehicle or vehicles. And also if you could take a photograph of the license plate, the driver's license of the other person who hit you, maybe even a picture of the person of driving the other vehicle, just so you can record all that information.
So that's important. Should it take a next step and people work with somebody like you? How do people know they should reach out to somebody like you?
Well, I think it's important if you're injured in a car accident that you should talk to somebody to see what the next steps are. I mean, if it's a smaller case, chances are you can probably resolve it yourself. But if the case gets a little bit more complicated, meaning that you have to go to the emergency room or you start treating and it becomes apparent that you're going to need ongoing treatment, it's best to reach out to a lawyer to make sure that your lawyer can help you navigate this process, because during this time, you should be focused on yourself and your treatment and your body, because you only have one body and you want to be able to take care of it. And you also want to be able to take care of your family. So lawyers will handle communications with insurance companies so that you can focus on healing and focus on putting yourself first.
Yeah, we've interviewed some doctors on the show, and one theme that comes up is how people sometimes something hurts or doesn't feel right, and they let it go. It's going to work itself out, and many times there's a period of time where it's gone too far and it doesn't work itself out. Now it's a permanent injury.
Hmm.
It's worth finding out and going through the steps at least to make sure. I think maybe we're quicker to act if it's our family, but if it's ourselves, we probably owe that to our family and we owe it to everybody to get things checked out. Now, your website is Seattle Car Accident Law Firm.com, Seattle Car Accident Law Firm.com. And so when people are in an accident, well, that's easy to remember. Good job coming up with the name of your company. I guess when you said somebody's injured, then what are the next steps? So somebody's injured, they know that now insurance companies are involved, that maybe medical bills that they weren't even expecting. I mean, one day in the emergency room, who knows how expensive that could be depending. You always hear these things, one Tylenol costs, $500 for somebody to get. And if those bills go directly to them, it's a problem. So I guess the next step would be people should go to your website or call. How does that play out?
Well, you can go to our website. There's a contact form on there, and there's a live chat button that comes up. But
Okay.
also feel free to call me. I offer free case evaluations where I can spend as long as you need on the phone to talk about what the next steps are for your case and how you want to really proceed. Because what I tell clients is that you're in the driver's seat. It's your choice. My job as a lawyer is just to make sure that you've got all the facts in front of you so you can make the best decision for yourself and your family.
Well, Melissa, we appreciate you being on today. I know I seen your bio. You were one of the top 100 trial lawyers. Congrats on some of the distinctions and awards that you have. And thanks for sharing with us today.
Thank you very much.